Hi everyone, we are at FLI, at the 12th edition of FLI here in Mérida, and I'm very excited to be with Joel, one of the keynote speakers of the event, who in the last few months published a book called The Clean Money Revolution. You're an expert, you've been working on impact investing for a few years, and I think it's a pleasure for us, and it's an honor to have you here and share with us some of the ideas. First of all, a lot of our audience is not an expert, is not very, what I call them impact nerds, but so they probably don't know you and they probably they haven't heard about your book. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Joel Salomon. I'm based in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'm originally from Tennessee. I work both sides of that border,
Okay.
US and Canada, pretty seriously. What's been interesting to me about being at FLI is that this little captain Social Venture Network, SVN, was one of the first gatherers of this movement.
Yeah.
And my early years were with the entrepreneurs and the characters that wanted to push further and faster and deeper and more richly about what's possible with money and business, and why it's important that we think about that on a regular basis, that we try to understand where our money is, how it's being used, how it is affecting people around the planet, how it's affecting all kinds of issues from climate to organic food and healthy living and so many topics. Money can make a huge difference in the world. And our willingness to actually look at some of the both beautiful and challenging sides of what money, wealth, concentration of wealth means to people that we may never see or understand. And I take that very seriously. I think it's my responsibility to know where my money is, what that means, who it's affecting, how it's affecting them, and what the long-term future is going to be for a planet going from 6 billion, 7 billion towards 10 billion, and how will we handle all this?
I love hearing about this, and before the interview we were talking and you mentioned, the decisions we're doing today and the investing decisions we're making today impact the future of our kids. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter, and it does it sounds cliche, but it does put things in perspective and say, what are we doing today as investors, as entrepreneurs, as consumers, with money shapes the future that we want to build. The topic of this year, FLI, is going back to the roots. What do you see here at FLI that connects to you with this idea of putting money where purpose is? Does anything excite you? Have you found any specifically interesting conversations?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But what excites me is the fact that there is a movement that's growing, and it's clearly growing through all age categories, through many different sectors of the economy, and it's touching on government officials, and they're thinking about how they're going to support the economy or not support the economy, and which things they support and which things they don't. And if you talk to people here at this amazing gathering, you will find so much innovation, so much creativity, so much depth of caring, and people who really want to give our lives. Maybe I should restate that, maybe not. We're not ready to die for this yet, but we are ready to put our careers and our attentions and our choices, and especially the choices we make with money. Many people here are investors. I'm a co-manager of a climate and organic food and healthy household. And the work is gratifying every day. The entrepreneurs that we see and their dreams and what they're working on, the issues they're trying to tackle, is one of the great inspirations of being alive on the planet right now, as far as I'm concerned.
It's interesting because in our work you kind of always have both. You have the challenges, the problems. We read about them, we see them, we hear about them, but then you have the inspiring part of the solutions and the people working and thinking and putting their minds, not their lives, but their minds into it and their effort. And so how do you cope with that? How do you cope with there's so many. I was talking to Chris Pryor, which we'll interview him as well, and he said, the climate crisis is upon us, and it's going to be upon us in 5-10 years. It's decisive, and it can be very worrying. But then you come here and you see all these people doing great things, and then on their side, and that's great. How do you see that contrast, and what's the role of money playing in that contrast?
I work very hard to put myself around the people who are thinking of the future, thinking of humanity, and attempting to do things that are less harmful, more generative, and are really about the long-term future, because we need that now.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think for the last 9 years of the routine, we've been meeting those people, and it's growing, right? It's growing. I don't know, but right now we have 800 people here, and I think that's pretty amazing. It's growing, but and I want to hear your perspective on this. It's still a very niche topic. It's still specifically talking about specifically the money, the investment, the role of these financial institutions. It's still smaller groups of people of these of us who are already doing it. But you go out into a bank, you go out to an investment fund, you go to a retirement fund, and these conversations are not yet being mainstream. And one of the roles of Fleet's actually bringing impact investing into the mainstream. What do you think what are some actions that are still needed to be taken to bring more people into the conversation, or to actually break the ecosystem in terms of this being not for a group of people, but for everybody? What could happen, or what could we do?
It takes a long time for movements to build, changes in society to happen, and it takes many, many people doing small things, medium things, big things. And that inspires others. This movement is reaching into business schools. That's a very important segment of the population to pay attention to. Young people are more informed. They're paying attention to things. They're caring about what they're going to put in their bodies. They're caring about what companies do with their money. They care to know how they're treating their employees, what their practices are, and how that affects the environment, thus the long-term future for all of us and the possibility of having descendants and children. And people get very attached to when they start thinking about their children.
What is?
And you see the signs everywhere. Let me restate that. I'm mostly a North American. I see the whole world occasionally with travel and that kind of thing. But the stories of what is happening, the creativity of entrepreneurs, the innovation that's going on is phenomenal.
Yes.
It can be overwhelming. The average person may not see it or know that, but those of us that put our careers into this kind of work of aligning capital and money with what matters and attempting to cast our vote with each consumer dollar, with which bank we put our money in, all kinds, almost everything you can think about in society, money is in that mix somewhere. If it's about structures and institutions and how we design the world.
Okay. One last question, Joel. So do you think, or how would you put into how do you state the fact that a lot of us here believe that, for example, financial institutions that don't join the impact movement that you were just talking about, from the consumer side, from the entrepreneur side, are going to be left behind? Are going to start having, less return on their investments? Are going to be a lot of investors are not going to want to be part of their. Do you see it like that? Do you think it's a really, or is it still going to be a pioneer sort of movement for the next years to come?
It takes time for a mass psyche to take on new ideas and to understand what that means, how to be a voter as a consumer, how do you make your choices, where do you put your money, in the bank, what kind of professionals do you hire, what is your pension fund, and everything that we have to deal with as individual humans includes issues of money. Money, capital, products, services, and it's complex. We have 6-7 billion people here on this planet. It's not easy, and we are making big progress. This kind of gathering is one of many of ecosystems that are growing, that are looking at these topics, these issues, that are coming together as entrepreneurs to think about how to do it better, deeper, more meaningfully, and make a real difference. That concept still may be poo-pooed by very powerful interests because it's not how they do business, but it will not be stopped.
I agree.
It will grow, and it will cause change that our children and their children are going to feel, and whether they know it or not, they will at least know that something happened before them that caused us to shift directions gradually, and it's a better, more generative, healthier, more positive ways to support today and particularly long-term future.
Build the base today for
build the base.
Awesome. I want to tell people about your book.
Okay.
And drive our audience to be part of your community, to learn from you. Can you tell us the name of your book and where can we find you, where can we connect, and where can we keep learning?
Okay. So I wrote a book called The Clean Money Revolution, Reinventing Power, Purpose, and Capitalism. It's lofty, but I thought, what the heck? If you're going to take the time to write a book, let's go for it.
I love it. No, and I think that these sort of topics, we have to go in depth.
We have to
learn.
And I tried to write it in an accessible way and tell lots
hear
of
you talking, and if the book is written the way you are talking right now, I think it's going to be a very simple. I haven't read it. I learned about it at Flea, obviously. I'm going to take it to homework now. But if you write the way you are telling us this topic now, it's going to be very, very simple and very enjoyable.
Hopefully accessible.
Exactly. And
with something for people that are just doing their lives or having jobs or trying to create savings. Where do you put your savings?
Yeah.
What's the bank doing with your money? What's the insurance company doing with your money? What the food products that I'm going to go and purchase, how are they grown? How do we affect their workers? How is the soil taken care of? It goes on and on. And if you look around the reality of existence, there are so many opportunities to do better, be better, and pass on values to the next generations who will care about taking care of their futures and the people that come after them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joel.
My pleasure.
Please go read Joel's book. Please go and learn from him. And stay at Disruptivo because we'll have a lot more content from Flea here at the Flea Roots edition. See ya.